to another episode of the CattleUSA Daily Podcast. Today, we are welcoming back once again, Paige Harding. Paige is an attorney from Southwest Kansas and a dear friend of mine. Paige has been on the podcast for the past few weeks, and we have really enjoyed having her on talking about estate planning and what that looks like from a legal aspect. Today, we're switching it up a little bit, and we're talking LLC. We do talk LLCs and estate planning a little bit in this podcast, but more than anything, we talk LLCs. What does it look like to set up an LLC? What is an LLC? Why do we need one? Paige breaks all of that down for us today and makes it really digestible on the complexities of LLCs and how we can use those as ranchers, as farmers, and as someone planning an estate and planning their succession plan. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this podcast with Paige. But before we do, if you could take 5 seconds to like, subscribe, rate, review, do all of the things, we really appreciate it here at the team. It allows us to continue to grow this podcast, grow our audience, and grow our impact. So let's go ahead and hop into this podcast with Paige, and I'm going to let you all go take half a second to go do those things. Paige, welcome back to the podcast. Another week, another episode where we are talking about estate planning and what that looks like for rural families, agricultural families, and just kind of everyone else in between. We have been talking about estates for a few weeks now and what that looks like and what people need to be doing, things to break it down, things that they can go do today to just kind of at least get the wheels turning and at least start some conversations. But today we are here talking about using LLCs and entities in estate planning and what that looks like, breaking all of that down. So Paige, to start out the podcast, can you break all of that down? What is an LLC if someone doesn't already know? And why should ranchers or rural families be utilizing these just in general, but then also in their estate planning guides?
Absolutely. So an LLC, a limited liability company, is a type of business structure. It's a way to legally organize your farm, ranch, or small business into a business that's separate from you personally. So the limited liability part means that if the business owner or the business ever faces debts, lawsuits, or other legal problems, your personal assets, like your home, your personal bank account, or your pickup, are protected. Only the assets that are owned by the LLC are at risk. So not everything that you personally own. So if you have a personal pickup, that is safe. If you have a pickup that is titled to the LLC, that would be held in the LLC and protected with the limited liability. So it's like putting a super strong fence around your personal life to keep it safe from all of the business risks. It's separating your personal life and your business life. In ranching and farming, setting up an LLC often means transferring the ownership of your land, your cattle herd, or your equipment into the business. And so instead of you personally owning 1,000 acres, your LLC owns the land and you own the LLC. So starting an LLC is pretty straightforward. You file simple paperwork with the state and create an operating agreement, which lays out the rules for how the LLC, once it's set up, the LLC can open its own bank account, sign contracts, and do business separate from you personally. Using an LLC doesn't replace the need for a will or trust. It's just one tool to help you organize and protect your assets. It can make it easier to manage the operation during your lifetime, and it can make transferring ownership to the next generation much simpler and cleaner after you're gone. But as I've said a couple times, if you've been listening on this podcast, go and see an attorney yourself so that they can walk you through some options and opportunities for you and your unique situation.
Yes. And that's the nice thing about working with an attorney is you can get so detailed on everything that you are doing, from setting up an LLC to setting up an estate plan, everything like that. Trust me, as someone who DIY'd it when they first started out their LLC, just go talk to an attorney. Like, go spend the few $100s now to save yourself the headache later. Because when I first started my LLC, I was like, oh, I can draft an operating agreement myself. And then now I'm editing my operating agreement and I'm like, I wish I would have just had a professional do this when we first started out, because this is a mess. This is a mess. So like Paige said, go consult an attorney, because trust me, your life will just be so much easier if you do. Talking LLCs, Paige, how can LLCs and estate planning tied? What's the benefit of having an LLC as part of an estate plan?
So, one major benefit is keeping the operation intact. So, for example, instead of splitting up individual pieces of land to each heir or individual, this set of cattle goes to this heir, this set of cattle goes to this heir, you pass down ownership of shares in the LLC. So, this way the ranch can stay whole even if the ownership is divided. Another big benefit is flexibility. You can set up rules in the LLC's operating agreement, like how decisions are made, how ownership interests can be sold, and who can be part of the business, period. So sometimes people poo-poo these LLC documents like an operating agreement, but if done correctly, and if you put a lot of thought into how the business should be run, these documents can be the driving force of your business. It gives structure and it can avoid a lot of future arguments. So, keeping the operation intact and flexibility are two of the biggest reasons why I will promote using an LLC in estate planning. And something to talk to your individual attorney about. They will probably give you an LLC as an option.
Yes, but you talked about earlier when we were kind of introducing this that an LLC does not replace a trust or a will. Can you break that down and explain how it's part of an estate plan, but it doesn't replace any of those things?
Correct. Great question. No, an LLC does not replace a trust or a will. It is just one additional tool in the toolbox of estate planning. So you still need a plan for what happens to your LLC membership interest when you pass away, and that's where your trust or will comes in. So they all work together. They all work in tandem together. You have to have both for this to work smoothly and efficiently.
So what does the process kind of look like for setting up an LLC, especially when we're talking estate planning purposes? Is it complicated? What does that look like?
Yeah. So it's actually pretty straightforward. Like I discussed earlier, we file simple formation documents with the state. We create an operating agreement that fits your goals. And then you get an employer identification number from the IRS. And that is the information that you will use to set up a bank account, insurance, fun things like that. So after you do all of that, after your LLC is created, you can move certain assets into the LLC. So it's a little bit of paperwork up front, but it's worth it for the control and protection that you gain from having an LLC. So I had a rancher say to me sometime, Paige, I don't have time for a mountain of paperwork. And I told him that's why we keep it simple. We get everything done in a couple of meetings, and now his operation is protected without him spending weeks buried in forms that he's trying to tackle all by himself. It's important to remember that if you fail to do all of the things correctly up front, mistakes may come to haunt you later down the road. And typically, they are way worse down the road after they've been festering and you've seen a problem. So meet with someone to help you set up an LLC and to help you appropriately transfer all of your assets to the LLC that need to be there.
Yes, it is so important to just do it right in the first place because, again, coming from someone who DIY'd it in the beginning because I was a 20-year-old starting a business and realized that I needed an LLC to set up a business bank account to accept payments, and just Googled how to set up an LLC in the state of Kansas and just kind of pieced the puzzle together now as a business owner multiple years later, and I go back and I look at that and I'm like, okay, so this puzzle that I put together is actually missing half of the puzzle pieces. And now I have to go back and I have to fix all of it. And working with the government to fix things is never fun. So just do it right in the first place and save yourself the headache on so many fronts, because I would not be spending multiple hours of my week now as a business owner trying to fix my mistakes if I had just done it right in the first place. So learn from me, learn from my mistakes. An LLC is great. I love having an LLC, but it's great when it's done right. So like Paige said, go do all of those things. Talk to someone who knows what the heck they're talking about, because I sure as heck don't and still didn't many years ago. And you would think I'd learned something by now. Still really haven't. Don't really know. So go talk to your attorney and do all of those things. But Paige, someone who's listening to this and they're kind of maybe thinking An LLC might be a good idea. Might be a good idea for me, might be a good idea for our operation. What are their first steps and kind of next steps that they should be looking at?
Yes. So, as Lauren just discussed, start by getting professional advice. And typically, you need to go see an accountant and go see an attorney. So, aside from just estate planning, your operation might need to be in an LLC right now. There are two big things that you need to think of. The first is liability, and the second is taxes. So, first, let's talk about liability. Do you have a trucking company or do you operate a couple of semis? Are you constantly hauling cattle down the road? You might need an LLC to protect you personally from the liability. Truck accidents are hot button huge, So think about that. Think about if you have, someone that you have come work with you, a hired hand that you have come work with you on occasion. If they were to get hurt on your property, what would happen there? Do you have that? That takes us down a whole entire other road. Do you have hunters that come onto your property? Could there be some liability there? So, first things first, think about all of the potential liability that you could have with your farming or ranching operation. Second thing, this is where you need to go see your accountant to see if an LLC could benefit you tax-wise. No one loves to give money to the government. If you do, I mean, wow. But no one likes to give money to the government. Go see your accountant and see if an LLC could benefit you tax-wise. And, for those reasons alone, you might want or need an LLC for your farming or ranching operation, period. Not even to help you with estate planning. You might just need one, period. So think about that. A lot of farms and ranches can benefit from an LLC. So defer to your CPA for tax purposes, then go see your attorney for how to help you get this all set up. It's about looking at your own personal operation, your family situation, and your long-term goals. Those are the things that you need to think about and assess before you go to see these professionals. Then the accountants and attorneys can work together to define a right structure for your specific situation and your specific needs. So using some of the tools we've discussed today, an LLC can also help you with estate planning, but remember, an LLC does not replace estate planning. You still need to have a trust or a will to help keep all of that working together and working well together to make sure that your assets are distributed according to your wishes at the end of your life.
Yes, Paige, thank you so much for all of that amazing information and talking about estate planning. You have an amazing tool that you created, a free tool that you created recently that is available for anyone and everyone to just kind of start themselves along the process in estate planning and start chipping away at it. Can you take a couple minutes to discuss that amazing new product that you've got out there that is free and available to everyone and just what it can mean for people listening?
Yes. So I created the Estate Planning Essential Information Guide, and this is not a legal document. This is simply a practical tool to help you get all of your affairs in order. So it's a few pages long, pretty in depth. It goes through everything from your legal name, if you're an organ donor, to where your safe is located. What's the combination for your safe? It will also go into your property description. Where are your vehicle titles located? What is your Netflix password? What is your email account password? So it helps to keep all of that super important information located in one spot. And I promise you that your loved ones will thank you later. It is a long, time-consuming process to wrap up someone's estate. And it does not help when emotions are high and you're right in the middle of the grieving process. So make it a little bit easier on your family down the road and have all of that important information at their fingertips so they don't have to go looking for it. It will help. Trust me, this will help you and your loved ones will be thanking you later. So click the link below. Get that downloadable guide and start filling it out with your family today. You don't have to get it all done today. Take it one day at a time, one section at a time, and keep all of this information in one readily accessible area like your office drawer or the pantry, and then keep another copy of this in a safe location, like in your safe. And Lauren had the great idea to, upload it to your phone so that you can keep it readily available on your phone and on your computer and share it with some of your loved ones. Some of this information might change, like your Netflix password. If you're anything like me, you have to click forget password every single time you log into Netflix. But some of this information will probably not change, like the location of your safe and your safe combination. So take the time to fill this out today, because I promise you that your loved ones will thank you later. And I promise you that you'll probably just feel some relief personally about having all of your affairs in order and all of your important information in one safe location.
Wonderful. Yes. To all of our listeners out there, go check out those show notes. We've got that link down below for you. And if you have any questions on anything that we talked about today, I also have Paige's information link down below where you can get a hold of Paige and her team and just ask questions and open up just kind of the door to be like, hey, I have a question about XYZ topic, or here's the situation that I'm in. And Paige and her team can get you all the answers that you need, or at least guide you to where the answers are and kind of help you along that path. So make sure you check out those show notes down below. And as always, we will see you all tomorrow on another episode of the CattleUSA Daily Podcast. Have a good one, y'all.